Okay, so we're on the fairway on the first hole. Want to talk a little bit about the full swing and talk about setup as well. Now, a lot of people have different ways they set up when they're hitting their full swing. Ball position is going to be important with the irons. You want to keep it very similar to the, basically we want to have the ball right in the middle of the stance, and then with the driver off the tee, we put it up more towards the front foot. For me, being a lefty, my right heel, you guys, left heel. Main thing about the ball position is going to be where the swing is bottoming out. So we want the club to actually hit the ball first and then the ground. So that's where like a lot of people sway back, and that's why they chunk the ball a lot. But when it comes down to the curvature of the ball, we talk about the club face at impact, which is if the face is open, the ball's going to start, well for me, to the left. Face is closed, the ball's going to start to the right. And wherever my swing path itself is in relation to that, so I'm sure you've heard of the term over the top. So over the top means you're coming outside to in, and that's usually what causes people to slice it with their club face in relation to that. So the main focus would be to have a nice inside to out swing path with the club face square at impact. That's going to produce a draw swing, and that's what, if you look at the physics of the golf swing, that's really what's going to be going to show you what the golf swing should be. Does anybody have any questions as far as the full swing?
As far as your weight, you said you don't want to sway back and forth, so is it more just staying where you started the whole time?
It's kind of like you think of your center. We don't want the center going back and forth, because that's when your ground consistency will be all over the place. We want to, when you're turning, you want to keep your body basically like a center, very still. We don't want to have this move back and forth. That's what's going to keep your contact on the ground very similar every time. So when it comes to chipping, there's many ways you can do it. When it comes down to the amount of loft that you use, so everybody knows you have a pitching wedge, gap wedge, sand wedge, and a lob wedge, all at different lofts. With that, basically, if you were, a lot of people really like to see, obviously on TV, these big high shots where, they're hitting these flop shots where they're up in the air. That's normally, not what you all need. It depends on if you need to go up and over a bunker, up and over a hill, or if you're on the side hill of something. But the closer you are to the green and the less you have to go over, the less loft you should be using. So for this example, I'm going to be using a pitching wedge. This is going to be more of just something, you're actually going to do it something like a putt. You're going to set up like a putt. So if we're next to the green here, you could always putt this as well. Always putt it if you can. So we're going to set up, and it's going to be somewhat of a putting stroke. You're actually going to get a little closer to it than you would a normal chip shot if you had like a lob wedge or a sand wedge. And biggest thing I want to show you is we always want to put it in the back of the stance with the weight leaning on your front foot. For me, being a left-handed player, my weight's going to be on my right foot. And you don't need to have a big, wide stance, nice and narrow, just like your putting stroke. But also, you can choke down a little bit, and it's always good to have a little bit of forward shaft lean. With this, we don't want to have much of a big, breaking your wrist, because the more factors you have of bringing, different factors into play, the more margin of error you get. With chipping, this part of chipping, we want to be able to eliminate as much margin of error as we can. So for this, all we're doing is nice little smooth putting stroke. And you can see the ball just traveled enough off of the club because to hit the green and then roll out like a putt. If you could tell, if you take a look at my wrist, all I did was kind of had that same feeling of squeezing the ball between the arms, and I just went like a putt. Now, you could totally tell I got 1 foot tap in putt instead of taking my lob wedge and trying to hit this big, high lofted shot.